Welcome back, Digital Ramble family. How are you? I'm JJ Cannon.
And I'm Kris Gamble, JJ's co-host over here in the UK. We're back in our separate locations. JJ's in Texas and I'm here in the UK. But we had a great week last week at the CEDIA Expo in Denver, but now we're back to our day jobs.
Yeah, it is really nice to get back to the bed that you're familiar with and the waters that you're familiar swimming in. There's only so much hotel breakfast I like eating, so yeah, nothing like being back home with the family. And it was great seeing you, though, Gamble. Goodness gracious, only getting to hang out with you once a year. But we make the most of it and just had a fantastic time there in Denver together and then hitting that CEDIA Expo floor. I tell you, this year was a little bit different than normal.
Yeah, for us, we were as productive as we normally are, running around, making the most of the daytime and the evening, maximizing those network opportunities and meeting friends, old and new. And we definitely made some new friends. And we'd like to shout out some of the people we met, people that made an impact on us. First up for me is Josh from Convo by Design, who fronted the podcast lounge at the main entrance. Everybody would have seen the Volkswagen ID Buzz. He did a great job holding down dozens of episodes of podcasts, which hopefully you'll be able to catch up soon. Convo by Design.
Yeah, yeah. And Amanda Wildman and Rachel Nash and those two ladies, they were coordinating a lot of the activities there behind the scenes with CEDIA this year. I know Amanda has taken on quite a bit of responsibility, and from my standpoint, everything went off smooth without a hitch. And we just had such a fantastic time this year at CEDIA Expo. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out for Chris Thorpe from Eero. Probably the most animated greeting we had during the show was from Chris. We heard him from like halfway across the show floor. He gave the biggest digital ramble shout out that I've ever heard. So thank you, Chris, for making us jump, but also for your support, which continues, and we're much appreciative of that.
And when you and we got out on the show floor, we really, I mean, there was a lot of people there happy to see us, and we cruised by the Zenio booth, and Joey and Charlie jumped out, and they were like, "The Digital Ramble guys!" They were so excited to see us and just share their their experiences listening to the show. Joey, Charlie, thank you so much for jumping out there and grabbing us and letting us know. We really appreciate it. Sometimes we wonder, do people listen? And this year, man, really proved that, yeah, people do listen. So thank you.
Final shout out to a booth that we didn't know about coming into the show, but we had a great listening experience there. That was the Brain Audio booth, a real taste of Texas. And JJ got to catch up with Derek Johnson, who is an early days supporter of JJ and his business cycle, his business life. So big shout out to Derek at Brain Audio. Go check out Brain Audio. I was impressed with their speaker.
Yeah, I think they actually have a storefront there in Austin, Texas. And so next time I'm up in Austin, I am definitely going to be cruising by the Brain location and seeing what else they got cooking over there. Pretty exciting. They had a really good sounding independent speaker, a portable speaker. It sounded fantastic.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. So that's just some of the people, if we've missed anyone out, there's other episodes where we'll give you a shout out. Don't worry about that. And we appreciate all the support we had on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our last episode, very well received. And the last episode leads us into today's episode because we're going to stick to this theme for quite a while. We feel we've struck a chord. We feel that we've started to peel back a bigger opportunity here, something that the industry's been needing and something that homeowners have been needing. Clear guidance on the home tech space. And we feel with the scene framework, the scene blueprint that we talked about in our class, we expanded on in episode 172. We feel that this is a home run for both the installer and for the homeowner as well.
Yeah. And the reason that we feel that is so impactful is it covers the 5 pillars that Kris and I were discussing as a blueprint for business. It's real simple. SEEN is really an acronym. S is for security. And security is for advanced surveillance, alarms, and cybersecurity. Communication, and you got to think of communication a little bit differently, because when we talk about communication, we're talking about how do we, like as humans, communicating with our digital technology. Is it through voice or wand styles? We're going to get a little bit more deeper into this as we go on. Environment. Environment is a variety of different things, whether it's climate control or lighting or energy or maybe air quality. Networking, how communication is distributed across your the globe or in your own personal home. I mean, network is crucial, important in staying in contact with your devices. And then finally, entertainment. We feel like in this whole scene framework, entertainment is like the final cherry on the whole thing, where you really get to sit down and relax. And it's where the audio, the visuals all come into play. And it really seals up this beautiful framework overview of the scene.
Yeah, and when we approach a project, we have our favorite brands. Our favorite brands fit into the scene. So we might have a go-to brand that ticks off all the security. That one brand that does our cameras, our access control, the intruder alarm. We'll choose a complementary product which deals with the environment, so the lighting and the shades. There'll be a crossover with that choice into the communication. We know it's going to work nicely with the voice assistants. It's going to work with the handheld remotes if required. It's also going to work with the entertainment system. So you're crossing over your shades, combining that with a scene that's also doing the television or the music system. And then to bond all that together, we talk about it being the foundation. The network is what sends that signals, which delivers that reliable and robust connection to all those applications. And when you piece all those 5 together, that could be 5 brands, it could be 3, it could be 1. If you're happy that you've got a brand that can do all that for you, once that all pieces together, you're really on a path to success for long-term happiness, reliability, and another factor we talked about in the class was expansion. All of these pillars can be expanded from a single room application to multi-room to outside, and if you've got it set up in the way it should be, you'll be connected to that home when you're away as well.
Yeah. Gamble under each one of these pillars of the scene, you have subcategories, which I really like. But the importance of using scene is to make sure that you're not missing anything, particularly if you're a home technology professional and you're sharing the importance of our industry with clients, making sure that we're hitting all the pillars of what's available for the client is important. I mean, the last thing you want to forget is how good is that network in that house. I mean, that should be one of the first things that you have a conversation about, but networking is crucial. One of the different things that could be needed in the environment. Air purification is something that's definitely left off of the table in communication, but I think is one of the best conversation pieces that we can be having is air purification.
No, and something that just before we go deeper into each pillar and give some examples, that we're also mindful as installation professionals that people have invested in technology, they've invested in devices. Crikey, they could even have listened to episode 1, 2, or 3 of the Digital Ramble when we were telling you to go out and buy these products. If they've invested in that, there's no reason not to keep that. If you've bought into a music system, use that as a brand or as a technology where it helps you guide your next purchase. So if you've got that music system and you're looking for a complementary lighting system, if you've got a doorbell, look at what's a complementary alarm system, or is there an accessory like a siren or a chime? So those smaller purchases, just make sure you keep expanding it, grow that scene, and make it a more harmonious home for you. But don't feel that you've got to ditch the old tech These things have long life cycles. We talked about in our class, 8 to 10 years is not uncommon for some of this high quality Silicon Valley tech that's out there. The apps get refreshed, the devices are getting updates. They always seem to be at 3 a.m. I don't know what goes on at 3 a.m., but in my in my installations, it's a busy time of night. Lots of things seem to be getting updates, but you're getting new features when you wake up in the morning.
All right, Gamble. Let's talk about some seed examples. All right. So let's dive into the first one, security. One of the big things that we were seeing on the show floor this year was AI cameras. And really it's the intelligence that the cameras are now having built into them. And they're using cameras in a variety of different ways, sensors, if people happen to cross it into areas, or the cameras are now able to put together awareness. So young female, red shirt, black pants, red hat, they can tell you exactly what is on the other side of that door or down the hallway, if so desired. AI cameras was a big deal, or the software that they were incorporating into the cameras was a big deal this year on the showroom floor. And I think it's going to be just a really impactful part of security.
Yeah, that's the AI features of the camera system determining the difference between animals, objects, packages. We saw early versions of this when you had package detection on a doorbell. Now we're rolling out camera systems where it knows the brand of vehicle, color, the type of vehicle. It knows you can build up a history of, if you tell it it's at one particular person, it will start to learn that that is David or it's the postman or it's the FedEx delivery person. You can interact with the AI features of your system to give it more data, and it will give you the feedback of who that person, where they went, which camera they were detected on. And that's trickled down even to your mass market products. We even saw Ring talk about they could send you a summary of the footage. You know a
Yeah,
little bit more
it's
about
a
that,
push
JJ.
notification. Yeah, it's a push notification with their latest subscription offering, which is still ridiculously affordable for everything that you get through the Ring solution. But yeah, now they have push notifications that lets you know the activity that is happening there at your home. So you don't necessarily need to open it up and view the image itself. It'll just send you a quick image like a package left at the front door or two packages, or if there's somebody running around in the backyard, it'll let you know that as well. It's pretty slick, man.
I like that. I like that. And we saw an example of that, and that it leads us into communication. And again, communication is how you interact with your system, whether that's through voice, app, handheld remote, schedules, timers. That's the communication path between you and your system. We saw an example at the Josh.ai booth where, they're well known for their voice control, but we were wowed by actually programming the system with voice.
Because this is
Giving the system a voice command for a scene was a powerful concept that's got me thinking, how do
because
I
this is
get that into my home?
because this has been a problem for our industry. It's not a problem, but it's just a big cost associated for these highly engineered systems, which is the programming. And it's a lot of like if then statements and variables, and Josh has really made it very easy to where you could say, I have a friend visiting from Texas. We're going to have dinner. It'll be around 8 o'clock. Make sure you set a scene for us. And it'll create something like it'll put on, let's say, some Willie Nelson music. It'll dim the lights in the kitchen because it'll know the area since you talked about dinner. It'll probably drop the shades for you as well because it knows that it's going to be in the evening and you want some privacy with that. And so that type of intelligence that allows you to create these scenes, impactful scenes, which used to take hours. I mean, you see all this gray hair. I talk about this gray hair. It was from learning how to program if-then statements and macros into the systems, and with the intelligence that we're seeing to be able to communicate with your devices in a reliable way. Level up, man. Let's go.
Yeah, that was a real eye opener into how the Pro could do that initial setup, but also once you're left with that system as the homeowner, it's a natural way of interacting with your system. Yeah, yeah, breaking the chains.
Break the chain.
But again, something that we've talked about before, get the Pro back for the hard stuff. You shouldn't be left with systems that are too difficult for you to tweak and personalize, maybe being missold if you've got a system that you don't feel comfortable making any changes to. And changes to a system typically come from the environment aspect. You want to change climate settings, you want to change schedules for your shades, timers on your lights. So, the environment is what you're living in, and the environment is dictated by heat, light, coolness. So you need to have a system that's flexible to, um, that that's allowing you to make the changes because they're the personal ones. You're so personal about your preferred temperatures, the times of day, the privacy you might need, the bedtime routines. So, using a control system that covers the window treatments, the climate, and the artificial lighting using your dimmable lighting. That's the way to live in a smart home.
And that environment is inside the house and outside the house. I like using lighting for a variety of different things. And one thing that we saw a huge part of is the ability for lighting to create a variety of palettes in different spaces. One of my favorite space was outside, and how they're using tones in white light as well as splashes of color to add so many different textures to landscape lighting, and really be impacted by the environment. It's cool to have light up in the trees, but when you can tune it and then color it, man, get out of here. I mean, it's beautiful stuff. Talk about really creating some impactful environments.
That's things that we saw. There's things that we didn't see at the expo this year, and which we have seen in previous years. The wellness side of home tech. We didn't see a lot on air purification, and we didn't see any robots. We love our Roomba. We love our vacuum cleaner, our robot vac. Did not see that at the show. I think that's an opportunity for exhibitors to come back to the show because there's a big gap there.
Yeah, for sure. And at least creating some awareness of what's around the corner, or some things that what we might want to be thinking about, uh, that we can add to our portfolio for solutions that clients might need. The thing is that, yeah, it might be a little bit over the horizon, but preparing now for our industry is where it needs. I miss the robots this year, for sure. What is it that the TDR always says? If you don't have a foundation, you can't do nothing unless you have the foundation of the network stable in your home. And this year was no different than the past years, except one of my favorite exhibitors had an enormous booth this year. Well, two of our exhibitors had enormous booths this year, that were in the network category. And man, they came out blazing with strong signal this year, both of them. Wi-Fi 7 is
Yeah,
here.
Eero really for me, they're pushing the Wi-Fi 7 journey for homeowners. They're trying to make that an expected standard for the home, and the home needs that. It needs that continuation of freeing up the congestion. It did it in the 2.4 gigahertz. It's it's doing it in 5 gigahertz, and it's introducing now the 6 gigahertz with 7. That free space for high speed communication, more traffic, the ability go to do better meshing, better handover between your access points. And that will truly then make the home a dead zone free, because we've got to start ditching those dead zones. You can't just have strong areas at the front of the house, be struggling at the back, and then have zero in the garden. There's nothing worse than having no Wi-Fi in the garden and you're on and off to the 4G and you've no interaction with your speaker or your lights. It drives me crazy.
The internet's always got to be booming.
What about when it's
One,
not moving though? What about when
what's
it
that?
goes off? What about when
Yeah,
the
yeah,
internet goes off? We saw a good
yeah.
product for that.
It's got to be booming, and when it's not, one thing that I saw this year was this super cool rollover, this LTE rollover backup, so that you are for sure to stay connected to the network. And it was through Eero. It has this little USB-C thing, and you plug in there. And I think it's just going to become more and more impactful over time to be connected to that network.
Yeah, again, the foundation. Start with that. For anyone that's wanting to start their scene, that is the beginning of the scene. You've got to get that network in place and then layer everything on top of that for strong foundations. And one of the things that relies on the network more than anything, and we both know this, is the entertainment element of the entertainment pillar. Streaming, video distribution, it all relies on that hard wiring or great Wi-Fi. And now screens are getting so big, JJ. I don't know how big they can go, but video walls were all over that expo of all great quality. I wasn't disappointed by any of them, from the inexpensive to the ultra expensive. They were still wow with that vivid brightness and just the size of the screens.
I had to say bigger is better. I did not feel overwhelmed, even in rooms that had like 200 plus inch screens. I think Sony had something ridiculous like that. I think Christie did as well. Definitely, there's a difference in technologies and finishes in the materials. But man, eye popping colors, crisp resolutions. It felt beyond real to a certain extent, especially with the animations. I mean, it was incredible entertainment. The other thing that was really popping this year, and it is every year, and I wish the community of listeners would get into two channel audio, and really understand what experiencing quality music is. And two channel is not headphones. That's easy access audio. I'm talking about sitting down in a chair instead of turning on the boom tube. You drop a needle on some good vinyl and listen. And two channel audio is great entertainment. Yeah,
Yeah, we
a lot of
saw
that.
actually a little bit of a comeback brand as well. We spent a few minutes late on the Friday. We went to the Technics booth or their
Yeah,
listening room. We saw Technics back on the scene. I thought that was a bit of nostalgia. Hey, they're high quality. Those turntables never go out of fashion. Technics back in the day, firm favorite for turntable lovers and DJs as well.
yeah, yeah. They had all their turntables in there, up and spinning, and then they had their little amps and tuners and switchers in there for their two channel.
Yeah,
I was
and it,
excited to see them. I hope more manufacturers like that come back. One manufacturer that I remember as a kid was Kenwood. My dad had Kenwood in his recording studio when I was a kid, and I think he also had Realistic, but I think that was more Radio Shack. But man, back in the day, Radio Shack was so inspiring to me as a kid. I got stories.
yeah, that's probably part of your origin story.
Yeah, I got stories.
You know, feedback we've had from the expo and from the class we did, people were trying to figure out how to piece together a scene, and a scene can be built over a long time period. We talked about the network being the foundation. If you can get that part in first, build that wall to wall, roof to the basement, front fence to the back fence, get that Wi-Fi blasting in your home, but get it under management, understand your network, a good mesh system without running wires. It'll still give you a good dashboard. You'll start to understand the different frequencies that you're dealing with. You can start to prioritize devices for better performance. If you can start with that and then look at what's the thing that you'd like to have. Is it an improvement into your music system and get that music around the house? Is it starting to control your lights for dimming or for creating wider scenes across multiple rooms? Or is it some window treatments, something to protect those art, to protect artwork, your fabric? Is it to minimize heat buildup in certain rooms? Again, you can grow the size of the system over a long, long time. You don't have to go all in. But if you take the framework of the scene and tackle a pillar at a time, before you know it, you'll have that fabulous home tech experience happening when you have all those 5 pillars in synergy.
And for those that were in the class or weren't in the class and they were asking about our 5 pillars, you can go back and listen to our previous episodes, and we talk about keeping it reals and nulls. And those were early days of unpackaging to where we are today with seeds. And unbeknownst to us, that's what we were really doing was, putting our manufacturers into categories, and those categories were, different aspects of scenes: security, communication, environment, network, and entertainment. And and we feel like, the show, or we have evolved as the show has evolved, particularly as we just sit here, we talk about our ideas and how our industry is playing out, and the different kind of communications that we're having with our homeowners in the home, and really understanding what their needs are. One thing that I want to talk about, Gamble, we always get a chance to do like a Gamma Ramble or a Canon Fire. And one of the things that is something I've been communicating with other integrators is the need for us to listen and understand truly what the challenge of the client is, and really what the client is saying, and providing them with a solution that they truly need, rather than just going with your go-to and solving a problem that's really not a problem, is something that I see in our industry. And we're selling a bunch of boxes that are unnecessary for selling, and we just need to listen to the client, provide them with what they need and not more than what they need. I guess that's my little cannon fire. I just get out in the field sometimes, Gamble, and I see a couple of more items, 5 or 6 items, and it's like, well, what's going on here? What is the real purpose? What is the real need here? And I think it's important that we listen to our clients and provide them with what they exactly need.
No, and people at the show were asking for the return of Canon Fire and Gamble Ramble. So I'm going to give some Gamble Ramble as well. And for me, I'm always frustrated when past purchases are not being maximized and they're getting superseded by, oh, I've bought this new thing, I've got this new device. Do not underestimate the old tech. We talked about them getting updates, features are always getting progressed. And the one that I think is neglected that gets some early love but then never really gets any new commands is your voice assistant. That could be with Siri, that could be with Madam A, that could be with Google, could be with Josh, the big voice assistants. But refresh yourself with that. Add a new scene, add a new activity that younger people in the house might interact with. We've done one recently at home around bedtime, and it plays certain music, it fades the lights down, it brings on a night light. We did another one for getting people out of the house, for getting out to school. There's some music that plays at quite high volume. There's announcements on various voice assistants in bedrooms and the kitchen. Basically the mum is leaving in 5 minutes, and it's a bit of a countdown. And we created that using the Amazon framework of voice assistants, and we built a fun scene. And so I'm urging you, go out, re-engage with your voice assistant, and you'll be amazed at how much fun you can have with linking music and announcements and shades and lights. That you can build some fun things that all ages will interact with.
Yep, yep, yep. Hey, Gamble, we got a lot of questions when we were out at CEDIA, and we did not. And one of the things that we were talking to our listeners about is, man, we appreciate the questions, but could you please drop some comments, ask some questions on the show? And so we want to direct our audience and thank y'all for listening. But also, if y'all can participate, that'd be fantastic. You can always hit us up at digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. If you have a cool topic you think that we might be able to explore a little bit deeper, hit us up there. You can also find us on our social media. The place that Gamble and I swim a lot is going to be in Telegram, so you can find us in Telegram. We're definitely on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. You can find us in any of those areas and ask us a question. How do I start with seed on a budget? Where do I find a home tech pro? Ask us those types of questions. We'd be more than happy to answer them for you. For a home tech pro, I mean, a good one is hashtag live install. You can definitely find experienced technicians under that hashtag. On your social media platforms, you'll definitely see professionals out there showing their goods. And yeah, check that out. That's an easy one right there.
I'll just add to that on, you know, any tradesperson, they're well known for having outdated websites. They build a website and then it just sits there and they think it's going to harvest work for them. And maybe it does. Don't get me wrong, a website's still impactful, but you have to keep it refreshed. I see these tradespeople spend more time refreshing their Instagram feeds, their Facebook profiles with images and videos and reels and shorts. So if you're looking for the Home Tech Pro, their website might be badly outdated. If they still are attractive to you as a choice, go to their Instagram, go to their YouTube channel, go to their Facebook pages, and find out what they're doing now. Are they still in your area? Are they still doing the services that you think they do? Maybe they've moved on. Maybe again their website could be dated. Re-engage with them on other platforms where they might have daily or hourly content or weekly content. That's probably a good place to start before you reach out to them and get them to come along to your home.
It really gives you the opportunity to understand their personality, what their experience is in, and if it's somebody that you like to work with there at your home. It really is a behind the scenes of what the possibilities are at your home for sure.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up, JJ and I thought we would just give a little summary, a review on the expo, and there'll be something we touch upon that I hope people listening take it the right way, about our thoughts on the kind of later periods of the show. But for JJ and I'll speak for myself, this year was fantastic for me. Last year was a bit of a comeback after the period where we couldn't travel and we had those, pandemic. This year felt much more relaxed. I got into a good flow. The early day of preparing for the training, the pickleball was fun, great networking before the show. Felt like it got me into the networking groove. So thank you to John for organizing that and all the volunteers that helped John. They did a great job. We'll definitely be doing that next year. At the training on the Wednesday, we saw the buzz begin before the show. The training was well attended. Our class was well attended. We were grateful for the people that came to that. The Thursday and the Friday was such a buzz at the show. All the booths were moving, and the evening activities, even the outdoor events, Coastal Source and Draper and Lutron. I love that car park setup that they do there. I'll leave the other part. JJ, give us a kind of view of your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Man, you didn't leave anything for me. Thanks.
You can have Saturday because that's where we're leading to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like yourself, we get in and go for a whole week, and we really make a full event out of it because I have found over the years that CEDIA is that impactful. This year, we decided to get a little bit out of our comfort zone and we signed up for the CEDIA pickleball tournament. And if you are able to participate and go a day early, sign up. I think there was like 75 participants or 76 participants. It was fun for beginners, intermediates, and experts. And what it allows us to do is communicate in a more personal way with dealers and vendors and manufacturers. And you have no clue who is who. And you're just out there having a good time, and it was a lot of fun. And it was such an icebreaker going, not that we need much of an icebreaker, but going into the full CEDIA thing. And then, like you said, Gamble, Wednesday was a highly attended educational day. It was great to see integrators show up early to invest, their men's time as well as their stored energy to educate so that we can take that education back and really be impactful in clients' homes. But yeah, Thursday, Friday, on the showroom floor, it was hive, buzzing hive of everybody, and it was great seeing everybody. The we get to Saturday, and Saturday it's great to get out to the showroom floor, but it's quiet. There's not a lot of people there. It's a little, I don't know. I want more for the manufacturers because I know they're there for purposes. I think Saturday would be a great social media day, definitely for those influencers that are out there that work their phones and their cameras. I think Saturdays would be a fantastic social media day to get out to the public, to create even more of a buzz. That would be a great day for CEDIA, is to have a CEDIA influencers day on Saturday, or an open call to the public of Denver, Colorado, and anybody else that might want to come in for a 1 day meet and greet with their favorite manufacturers. I mean, golly, Ring is a huge one. I'm sure there'd be a ton of people that love to see all their different types of offerings and talk directly with those people. You know, Throw some ideas out there to see if we could have some more attendance on a Saturday, because it was quiet. We were able to lap that whole place, pretty quickly before lunch, and which is nice as well. I'm not complaining, but a 3 day show, it'd be nice to see that place packed on a Saturday too.
Yeah, alternatives could also be open it up to the Colorado construction industry. If you don't want it to be public, but you want it to still be trade, I think you could open it up there. I think the crossover industries like kitchen and bathroom, interior design, I'm sure they would enjoy a show on their doorstep where they can see the latest in home technology. And I don't think there'd be too much competition for space, even if you had 4, 5, 6,000 more people. I think it drops off so drastically on day three that there's plenty space for new visitors. Maybe there would be a Saturday only ticket, which would be interesting for the wider construction trade to visit. I would like to see that. But you're right as well. Great opportunity to get content and spend more time on the booth. If you didn't get a lot of time on the Thursday, Friday, it is a good time to have longer conversations. But let's see what happens next year. These shows are always changing. They're always welcoming the feedback, I'm sure. And if anyone wants to speak to us too about our impressions on the show, we'll give you honest feedback. But we'll also give you honest feedback on all the major social media platforms. The Ramble Force is growing. We added great numbers to our Facebook and Instagram followers, so you can find us. Just search for the Digital Ramble or Digital Ramble Show. Just search for that. Ask Grok, ask ChatGPT. They know where to find us. And then the platform where JJ and I like to hang out most is Telegram. We have a Digital Ramble Show Telegram page, a group there that you can interact with us directly and pick the brains of two home tech pros.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to us every week. Again, if you want to drop us a note, hit us up at digitalrambleshow@gmail.com. Tease the next scene. Okay, I'm going to tease this scene. Check us out next week, because we're going to be deeper dive into the acronym of SEED. So check us out. And, for those that don't know, if you don't know, find yourself a home tech pro. Ask him. He's got answers. All right, friends, until next time, if you don't know, find a home tech pro.